10 hot new clones. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. It's also time to talk about 10 new clones, hot new clones that have recently come onto the markets. And those will be fragrances that in the near future, in the upcoming weeks or months, you're going to hear more about from me and from other creators. Let's quickly start with the actual list now. The first fragrance that I've included in today's video is an interesting one. It comes from a brand that's called Nassim. Some time ago, I don't know, like months ago, I covered some of their scents. I have a brief experience with them. Now I've added a few more Nassim fragrances to my collection, and the interesting thing about the fragrances from that brand is the fact that they're water-based perfumes. Basically, they contain no alcohol, and that's an interesting thing. Now they have a brand new mini line that looks pretty similar. The bottles in that line look pretty similar to each other, apart from the coloring combination. There are a total of 4 fragrances in that line, but today I'm going to talk about this green one, which is called Regent. I think is the way to pronounce the name of this one. It's an interesting scent that has very nice sprayer, and I didn't really know what those 4 fragrances actually clone, but as soon as I sprayed this one, I immediately knew what this is trying to be. This is yet another Creed Aventus clone, but this one is actually done pretty nicely. Now, don't think of this list of me saying go out and buy the fragrances that I'm about to show you. I'm just going to share my experience and my experience with those new fragrances that are currently coming onto the markets. This is a very interesting interpretation of Creed Aventus. It doesn't feel exactly the same. This one feels maybe a little bit fresher, slightly greener than Creed Aventus itself, and in a way this also brings me some smoky vibes. So you can think of this one like a slightly greener version of the famous old so-called smoky batches of Creed Aventus. The quality is really nice with this one. My previous experience with the brand of Nassim and with the water-based fragrances has been a bit of a mixed bag, but this one, to be honest, I've liked quite a lot since the time that I've started using and testing this one. Performance is, I would say, above average, but nothing special. But on clothes, this actually stays for quite a good amount of time, at least like a couple of days. Where this lacks a little bit is the projection, but my theory is that because it's a water-based perfume and alcohol in general, in my opinion, helps with the projection. So that's one of the let's say the cons about this fragrance. But overall, I've been quite impressed with this one. The quality is really nice, and this smells very similar. And just like any other good Creed Aventus clone, this is very easy to wear and will definitely get you compliments. The next one that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Khadlaj, and it's called Shiaka Shadow. It's the newest member of this Shiaka line. This one smells a lot like a Bad Boy Cobalt Parfum Electric from the brand of Carolina Herrera. Keep in mind also that some of the fragrances that I'm about to show you, I haven't done yet my full review on. Some of them I have, but most actually I haven't. And this is a very nice fragrance that has a pressurized sprayer and smells very mass-pleasing. It's citrusy, it's sweet, it's slightly spicy, there's a lot of lavender in it, a lot of sweetness, some earthiness and musks on the dry down. This smells pretty similar to the original one from Carolina Herrera. Offers, I would say, decent quality and decent performance. Don't expect this one to have super high quality or to have like exceptional performance, but definitely the quality is above average and the performance is also above average. It's quite cheap, it's mass pleasing, and it's another one of those very easy to wear fragrances. I personally would wear this one more in a slightly colder environment, but the reality is that you can daily drive this one. Even in summertime you can wear this one because it doesn't lean too much into any territory. It's not overly fresh or overly sweet or overly dark. The lavender, the aromatic nature of this one helps with the projection as well. Performance is, as I said, above average, but nothing more than that. The projection is a little bit more on the moderate side, but overall this is a very likable scent as long as you can live with the slightly sort of a subpar performance that it has, or not as super strong as maybe some people claim to have it. The next one comes from the brand of Rasasi, and it's called Chaos Tropical. Now, I know some people may comment that this is not like super new, but on a lot of the markets around the world, this actually became available just in the past couple of weeks, more widely available. This fragrance is heavily inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Beau, a fragrance from the Le Beau line, which is called Paradise Garden. Now, I've never been the biggest fan in the world of the original, the whole lineup, especially of Paradise Garden, but still, you know, I'll try to be as objective as possible about Rasasi House Tropical. And this is actually a very, very nicely done clone of, you know, of the original scent from Jean-Paul Gaultier. So it has this sort of a very summery, very tropical scent, as the name would suggest. You get this combination of the coconut, some vanillic sweetness, tonka bean, some musks. But this one, of course, has the addition of a fig note and also has a bit of greenness to the scent profile to make it a little bit brighter and greener than the other two fragrances from this lineup. And overall, I know a lot of people like the scent. I know that a lot of people like to wear this type of fragrances, and that's why, again, I have to be objective with this one. And I think Rasasi, as usual with their house line, they've done actually a pretty good job with this one. Good quality, the performance is actually quite good as well, rivals the original one in my opinion. And at the end of the day, this one you're one of your best options if you're looking for a Paradise Garden clone. Now, this middle portion of the video will be dedicated to French Avenue. Lately, I've added quite a few French Avenue scents to my collection, so I'm going to show you a total of 4 of them. The first one that I'm about to show you is a one that I've never showed in my previous videos. It's called Eleanor Green. Looks like this, and this is a very interesting scent. Now, this supposedly is a clone of a Plur Parfums original fragrance, which is called Father Figure, I think was the name of the original one. I've never tried it, so I cannot tell you if this is a good clone or if it indeed is a clone. But what I can tell you is that this smells very interesting. Now, first of all, I find it to be smelling a little bit feminine, in my opinion, but feminine in a sort of an unisex way. And the closest thing that comes to mind whenever I smell this one is Ganymede. Now, I'm not saying this smells super close to Ganymede or that it's like it will remind you very strongly of Ganymede, but the way that this has this sort of an ozonic, aquatic and mineral type of scent profile, that especially in the opening, to me smells like Ganymede, like reminds me of Ganymede. This also has some fruitiness, it has some iris, a bit of a floral touch, some sweetness and musks on the dry down. It smells delicate and it smells very interesting. But again, the strongest, sort of the closest thing that I personally have tried scent-wise to this one is Ganymede. For me, this is like a more delicate and a more feminine take on the Ganymede scent profile. It has really nice quality, and the performance of this one when it comes to total longevity on skin has actually been very good. Where this lacks a little bit is the projection, is more on the, so I would say, average side. The next one from French Avenue that I'm going to include in today's video, I've talked about quite a bit recently, but there's a good reason for this thing. That's because I like it a lot. It's part of the Zenith line, and it's called Zenith Noir. This is supposedly an inspiration of a Mont Blanc original fragrance, which is called Meister Stuck. I think I've never tried the original once again, but this smells absolutely fantastic, and probably this is going to end up being one of my new signature scents. That's why I want to talk about this one more. I've never tried the original one, but this reminds me a little bit of a Tribute Blue from the brand of Afnan as well. So it's interesting, it's musky, it's dark, it's spicy, it's green, it's aromatic, has some greenness, has some woodiness, maybe some smokiness. It's quite complex. On the dry down becomes a little bit sweeter and easier to wear. The opening can be a bit challenging. This smells very masculine. It just smells very classy in my opinion, and this will definitely go great with a suit or something like that. I really dig this one a lot. The quality is really nice, and also another great thing about this one is that it performs very nicely, lasts for a very long time, and also projects quite good in the first couple of hours. The next one is part of the newest member of the Veneno line. This one is called Veneno Scarlet. I talked about this one in my video yesterday, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this one. This is supposedly a clone of a fragrance from the brand of Stephanie Humbert Lucas, which is called Venom Incarnate, I think was the name of the original fragrance. And it's an interesting mix. Now, this smells a lot like berries. There's a strong strawberry note with this fragrance. There's some raspberry, but this also has some other things going on. It's an interesting scent profile that the opening to me smells pretty feminine, but then the more this dries down, the more unisex it becomes, and in fact maybe on the deeper dry down this becomes even maybe leaning a little bit to the masculine side. It has some additional sweetness, you'll find some caramel sweetness, you'll find some woodiness, a hint of leather. There's also some booziness in here that I'm not exactly from where it comes from, but it adds an interesting sort of an additional layer to the scent of this one. It's not all about like some sort of a fruity salad mix or something like that. This has a bit of depth. The leather note adds depth, that the caramel sweetness, that boozy note, some vanillic sweetness, some woods, feels a little bit spicy as well. I would still call it, in my opinion, unisex, maybe leaning a little bit to the feminine side, but it's an interesting scent that, again, just like the other two from this Veneno line, offers nice quality and pretty good performance. And the last one from French Avenue that I've included in today's video is probably the biggest surprise from French Avenue this year so far. It's called Atlantis Extrait, the newest member in this lineup, which all share the same bottle design. This one is supposedly a clone of Wave Child from Room 1015, I think was the name of the original fragrance. Now, I heard a lot about this one a few months ago. Other creators talked about it. For example, Neep Aromatics talked about this one, and whoever was checking this one out was saying how good of a watermelon based fragrance this one is, how realistic the watermelon smells. And from all that stuff that I read and watched, I was expecting this one to be all about the watermelon and nothing else. But then I got it, I tried it, I tested, and I was instantly impressed and surprised, because yes, the watermelon note is very realistic. It will live with you on your skin throughout the life of this fragrance, but it's not, at the end of the day, it's not all about that watermelon note. There is some additional freshness in the opening, which makes it as a fragrance that's quite suitable for warm weather, but it has some darkness on the dry down. There's a cacao note which adds a bit of sort of a like spiciness, slight bitterness. There are some woods on the dry down, so this on the dry down feels a little bit darker, and in that way also is quite suitable for cold weather as well. So overall, this ended up being a lot more complex than I actually was thinking it would be. Another area where this really excels is the performance. This lasts for a very, very long time and also projects quite nicely. Now let's go over two fragrances from the brand of Rayhaan, two of their recent releases. The first one is called Adonis Icarus, has this sort of a very bright looking bottle, and the color really reflects the scent profile. Now, I've had this for only a couple of days, but I've been really curious to try this one out, to get a magnetic cap, something that I really like a lot. Okay, this next one comes from the brand of Rayhaan, and in fact the next two will be from the brand of Rayhaan. This one is called Adonis Icarus, and I was really curious to try this one out. I've had it for I think 2 days right now, because I read some things about this one and I really wanted to check it out. Now, most people were comparing this one to Versace Eros Energy originally, and I was expecting something close to to that Eros fragrance. But when I got it and I tried it for the first time, this actually very strongly reminded me of something else, and that something else is Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim. Yes, it has some Eros energy in it, but to me personally this smells a little bit closer to Afternoon Swim, or you can think of it like being a mix between those two scents. So basically it takes that backbone of the Afternoon Swim fragrance with the greenness, with the ginger note, with some of the spices, but this makes it fresher, because this has a lot more brightness in the opening, feels a lot more energetic in the opening basically. It's not as laid back as Afternoon Swim, but then on the dry down this reminds me more of Afternoon Swim, but maybe with a little bit more sweetness. Overall, this is an interesting freshie that some people may find alluring. It's good for warm weather, definitely. Some people will say that it's nothing really that special, but it's a no-brainer type of scent for the warm weather. If you ask me, that's very easy to wear. I'm still testing the performance, but so far seems to be pretty decent. The next one from Rayhaan is called Rayhaan Valhalla. Looks like this one. This one is a lot darker. This is, I would say, a clone with a twist of Kilian's Angel Share Paradise. But this is not exactly, doesn't smell exactly like Paradise. This one feels sweeter than Paradise. Initially, when I first tried this one, my first impressions were that the sweetness is more compared to Angel Share Paradise, and the booziness is slightly dialed down. But to be honest, I've had it now for about a week, and the more it sits, the more boozy it becomes to my nose. But definitely this is like a lot sweeter take on Angel Share Paradise. It's like a more youthful take on Angel Share Paradise in my opinion. Maybe lacks a bit of the classiness of the original scent, but this on its own actually smells very nice, and I've already gotten a few compliments wearing this one while I've been testing it. Another area where this seems to excel quite well is the performance. This lasts for a very good amount of time and actually projects quite nicely, and overall it's an interesting sort of an alternative for Kilian's Angel Share Paradise. I'm going to finish off today's video with a fragrance from the brand of Arabiyat Prestige, a fragrance that a lot of people kept asking me about in the past month and a half. In fact, they kept asking about the whole Ramat series of fragrances. I have them all now, but this is the first one that I've started testing because I was really curious to check this one out. This is simply called Ramat. It comes very nicely packaged, the attention to detail is superb, but I'm going to talk about packaging and all that stuff in my full review of this one. This is, I'm even going to spray it on my skin because I like the original scent that much. This is heavily inspired by none other than Xerjov's Naxos. And I'm a sucker for Naxos, so I was really curious to try this one. And this, yes, it's a clone of Naxos, but with a heavy twist, especially in the opening. The dry down actually sits a lot closer to Naxos, but the opening is different, quite different, and it's very interesting. It opens up with a hint of booziness. It opens up a lot darker and less fresh and aromatic compared to Naxos itself. It has almost this kind of a like chocolatey sweetness, which is an interesting addition to the scent profile. And it also opens up more tobacco-y than Naxos. Now, the more this dries down, the slightly easier and less intense it becomes on my skin from my early testing so far, and gets closer and closer to Naxos. But definitely this is not identical to Naxos, not the closest thing to Naxos that I've tried, but I don't mean that in a bad way, because this is done very nicely, and I absolutely love it. You know, has the usual super high quality from the brand of Arabiyat Prestige, the pressurized spray and all that stuff. And so far, also in my testing, seems to have a pretty good performance as well. And so guys, in today's video, I showed you 10 brand new hot cologne fragrances. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like. And I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye-bye.